Hello and welcome. For today's webinar, I am your host, Ira Jean Manggubat. Thank you for taking the time to join us today as we talk about digital resources and intellectual property rights. You will leave with a significant learning and reflection at the end of the session, so stay tuned to learn more about it. And to make sure that we're helping you as best as we can on our discussion, we have a chat box to source your questions. Feel free to drop inquiries on the topic or share your struggles and experiences. We will answer your questions by the end of each guest session, and the moderator will collect the most upvoted questions so we can answer them for you at the end of the presentation. So now, to formally start our webinar, let's have our prayer. This will be immediately followed by the discussion of topics from our different speakers for this webinar.
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today. May you bestow your guidance and blessings so that we can enjoy and appreciate its significance in our lives. Bless everyone who are present here today, that each one of us may be able to share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom for your glory and honor. May the various activities related to this event be a success through your intervention. We all ask of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
A pleasant morning, everyone. I am very much delighted to have you join me here today for our webinar. Now, as 21st century learners, we quickly adapt to the fast-changing world. And as COVID-19 pandemic struck us, we were introduced to the virtual platform. Now, everything and all the information that we acquired through the virtual world came from digital resources, which is why for today's session, we will be covering the topic of digital resources. The revolution of ICT, or information communication technology, particularly the World Wide Web, have seen the evolution of automated library, electronic, digital, virtual, and hybrid library, which contains digital resources. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, so what is digital resources? Well, it can be defined as materials that have been conceived and created digitally or by converting analog materials to a digital format. This is a document other than a paper document, which can be accessed via an electronic device. Digital resources is also any websites, software, or apps that are included in an online course to enhance learning. Digital resource is a resource which requires computer access or any electronic products that delivers a collection of data, be it referring to a full text basis, electronic journals, image collections, other multimedia products and numeral, graphical or time-based, as a commercially available title that has been published with the aim of being marketed. These may be delivered on CD-ROM, on tape, via internet, and so on.
Now let's go through the challenges and issues in using digital resources. We have here that in assessing e-resources, proper technical infrastructure is required. Maintaining and updating IT infrastructure can be costly, so there's a high demand for funds. And if you're a professional skilled staff, you'll be required to handle the e-resources and solve problems related to IT in order to serve users with great services. Now the library has to adopt a secure network system in order to avoid cybercrime and ensure security. And in dealing with copyright issues, the librarian needs to guide users about plagiarism.
The next issue we have here is digital accessibility. In a 2020 UNICEF report, it has been found out that two-thirds or 1.3 billion across the globe of school-aged children aging from 3 to 17 years old currently don't have access to internet connection at home. To this end, billions of children are actually now at risk of being digitally excluded and totally being left behind. From the words of 2020 Executive Director of the UNICEF, Henrietta Fore, lack of internet access does not just limit the child's ability to connect online, but it also costs the next future generation their future.
Addressing to the challenges and issues of digital resources. As digital tools and platforms are becoming even more integral to our personal and working lives, digital learning increases access to education and knowledge while empowering students with a mindset and capabilities that sets them up for the success in the present and future. Checking the site or tool that will be used. Identify and check the digital resources that are appropriate for teaching and learning. Also, check if the site or app you use that is safe, secure, and legal. And then, explore the tool in preparation. In the digital resources, we should be able to explore the website and how it does work so we won't get any confusion and have a backup. Also, in e-learning, by knowing and exploring, it will ensure the information to be accurate and reliable sources. And next is the developmentally appropriate for the learners. Check if the resources are appropriate for the grade level and that shall meet the goals of the lesson objectives. And lastly, aid students on who are struggling. As there are some students who are very skilled in using technology or digital, there are also some students who are struggling using digital. That's why in advance, teachers should instruct learners on what to do using the digital resources. It should be easy enough, but not only students struggle but also teachers. That's why every school should consider the practice learning of using the appropriate digital resources. In that way, we can easily perform. While it may be the case that when using online resources, students have more freedom to explore the material at their own pace. This in no way means that educator is not responsible for planning a lesson which incorporates a digital resource as a key part of teaching. And just like teachers do with textbooks or assigned readings, incorporating a digital resource as a part of a curriculum or course means a teacher must complete considerably research on this resource to ensure the quality of and the safety and the secure of the teaching.
Learning. Digital resources help informal, and professional learning. Major purpose of digital resources is teaching, learning, and research. Libraries helps to offer open and distance learning, blended learning using digital resources. The resources can be digitized lecture notes and born digital material like access to tutorial video and audio. These encourage learner for self-learning and do research and publish their articles. Discussion forum on open and distance courses enable learner to communicate with course teacher and solve query. Libraries can digitize question paper of last year, provide access to the users for giving idea of paper pattern. By using different resources libraries, it can create new learning activities. By using these resources, library can provide career guidance information and help to develop learners' future. Library websites guide students about different resources available in the library, and this will help researchers, learners for using more relevant resources.
Teaching. Teachers can use multimedia resources, databases, and other resources for effective teaching. Allow teachers to develop their own effective, authentic study material and manage them in different formats for effective teaching. Teachers can communicate with students via synchronous and asynchronous conferences. The effect of information communication technology or ICT and technological changes resulting to digital resources. There are different types of digital resources available in libraries. Digital resources can be categorized by different aspects but are mainly categorized as online and offline digital resources. Also categorized as open access and commercial resources. Mostly, researchers, learners, and teachers prefer digital resources. These resources helping them to work and learn productively.
So what is intellectual property rights? The definition of intellectual property rights, it is any and all rights associated with intangible assets owned by a person or company and protected against use without consent. Intangible assets refer to non-physical property, including right of ownership and intellectual property. So, examples of intellectual property rights includes the patents, domain names, industrial design, confidential information, inventions, moral rights, database rights, works of authorships, service marks, logos, trademarks, design rights, business or trade names, commercial secrets, and computer software.
So now let's talk about the common issues in intellectual property rights here in the Philippines. Actually, when it comes to the topic of issues of the IPR, the main issue is not the different kinds of legal issues, but the primary issue is the awareness of the rights and laws and treating them with sufficient importance. And IPR here in the Philippines has a strong laws. However, there are many loopholes since it is not implemented effectively. In here in the Philippines, we have the laws and policies that generally support a conducive intellectual property rights or intellectual property environment, but enforcement is irregular and inconsistent. So here are the most common issues when it comes to intellectual property rights or the IPR. So the first one that we have here is the plagiarism. Plagiarism is a very prominent issue when it comes to IPR problems since when you define plagiarism, it is the act of stealing another person's intellectual properties and using it as your own without giving any credit to the original author or inventors. These intellectual properties can include like the ideas, inventions, words, slogans, original works of the authorships, and any proprietary information. The second one that we have here is the copyright infringement. This one, someone has used your creative work or words or images, most likely without your permission. This occurs when the copyright infringement occurs when a copyrighted work is reproduced, distributed, performed, publicly displayed, or made into a derivative work without any permission of the copyright owner. And the third one that we have here is the trademark infringement. Someone is using the same word, phrase, mark, symbol, or logo as you are using to sell similar products, potentially confusing the other consumers as well. And if you haven't registered your trademark yet, so you would gain additional legal protection by doing so. And the fourth one that we have, the patent infringement. So someone is making, using, selling, or offering to sell something that contains every element of your patented claims. Because patented inventions often contains the several different parts and give rise to more than one patent. So an infringement claim could become more complicated. That's all about the issues or the most common issues with the intellectual property rights. Thank you.
So now, let's move on to the solutions of the different issues presented. So the first issue was awareness of the rights and laws. So how can we solve this? So one solution for this is to integrate digitization in the education system or in the classes, or to conduct webinar or workshops about digitization just like what we do today in order to spread awareness. Next issue is plagiarism. So especially us as students, we are always reminded of this. The solutions for this is that first, we can use direct quotes or don't quote at all. Also, we can use paraphrase with care. Third, give credit where credit is due. Fourth, beware of cutting and pasting. And the fifth one is footnote as you go. So now let's move on to the copyright infringement, trademark infringement, patent infringement, which are all under intellectual properties. So first, what are the solutions for this? Review and understand intellectual property law. So under this law include the copyright, trademark, and patent. We have Republic Act number 8293, known as the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines, which protects and secures the exclusive rights of scientists, inventors, artists, and other gifted citizens to their intellectual property and creations, particularly when beneficial to the people. The second one is to apply for trademarks, patents, and copyright
copyrights in order to have these legal property rights and registration. And the third one is to arrange some evidence while innovating. So there are some instances when other people link an invention and request for a patent citing it as their own. So you have to prove that you're the rightful owner as a consequence of it now. So this can be accomplished by maintaining a log of evidence that documents the evolution of intellectual property rights, for example, dated and signed copies of drawings and drafts. The fourth one is to get the intellectual property infringers punished. So whenever necessary, enforce your rights by reporting and charging violators. The fifth one is to avoid joint ownership for intellectual property rights. In the long run, joint ownership of an intellectual property rights can cause confusion and legal issues threatening the security of these assets, causing harm to all parties involved. The sixth one is to think like someone who would violate your IP rights. So in today's terminologies, advanced mindset. When you think like someone who would violate your IP rights, most likely you will be careful and consider safeguarding your list and create strategies that might be useful for your business or invention. So the seventh one is to make sure that the intellectual property is owned in a way that allows further development. So the intellectual property rights should be registered in a way that allows you to develop or modify them whenever required. In most cases, the employer may get the first call on the invention, but there may be provisions in place to allow the employee to reclaim rights if the invention is not exploited within a given amount of time. And then the eighth one is to consult intellectual property experts. So contact a patent or trademark agent for help with searches and licensing to ensure that any intellectual property you create is adequately secured. The ninth one is to create a comprehensive strategy. Create a strategy that covers all intellectual property, including all inventions and technologies, concepts, trade secrets, original contexts, and domain names. And the last one finally is to understand where your IP is and where it is going. Be sure that you have the best protocols and processes in order to ensure that all records are removed in case of copiers, file sharing, and be equipped with the right cybersecurity tools.
Evaluation and selection of e-resources. Day by day, information is growing and it is becoming difficult to differentiate between quality, reliable sources of information and dubious sources of information. For acquiring quality resources, library needs to consider various factors such as scope, purpose and need of users, need to check authority and accuracy with reputation of source, frequency of updation, usage and impact factor, quality of content, context, cost, and visuals of digital resources.
So let's continue about the digital resources. So another digital type of digital resources are the electronic preprints, which is creators disseminate their articles, paper to the users on various digital platforms. So another one is the science news and communication, in which this kind of digital resources provide scientific and research news or research capabilities. So when we talk about science news and communication, they impose two layers. So first layer is when we identify and understand a certain article, and the second one is the second layer, in which it entails the moving, the applying, and criticizing of scientific news and communication. Next is the electronic thesis and dissertations, in which it helps humans make information more readily available, and the emails of their thesis and dissertations attachments would make access almost immediate. So they're allowing the quicker and the more thorough search capabilities. However, some of these needs subscriptions and payments, so you have to choose the right website for each thesis, electronic thesis and dissertations. Next one, the electronic newspaper. So when we say electronic newspaper, it takes place and they began to use the web as a news source with the demand for news media online. So it expanded and utilized all of the tools in the internet. And lastly, the software. Software has different open and commercial software resources. So these are used for various tools, internet tools, software development, instructions, and data, which not only makes our computer hardware perform important tasks, but can also be efficient in improving the functionality, the fixing bugs, and adjusting software code to prevent different issues in digital platforms.
The reference sources. The reference sources has four different subtypes, and the first one is electronic statistical sources.
There are a number of websites, databases provide statistical information and financial data. For example is the BECEd. It provides social and economic statistical data in India. The next subtype is e-dictionaries, encyclopedias, and biographical sources. General and subject-specific dictionaries and encyclopedias are available online with different Web 2.0 features. Different types of biographies, including autobiographies, are available through different websites or portals like biography.com, which gives access to biographical information. Examples are online Merriam-Webster Dictionary, Cambridge Dictionary, Encyclopedia Britannica, and the Columbia Encyclopedia. The third subtype is e-thesaurus and handbooks. Rogers Thesaurus and medical subject headings are two reference sources available through internet. Digital version of the thesaurus, which is a list of subject headings and handbooks, are available. And the last subtype is e-geographical sources and directories. E-maps are available on internet with different GPS types, navigation system, and etc. Online atlases are also available. Examples are the Yellow Pages and Just Dial. E-books are available in different formats like PDF, EPUB, and audiobooks. Examples of ebooks are Nook, Google Play Books, Amazon's Kindle, and Kobo, and these are the major ebook reader platforms. Is the online databases. Online databases has 4 different types. The first one is the bibliographic databases, which enables users to search bibliographic information such as citation and abstract. Examples are LISA or the Library and Information Science Abstracts, the INSPEC, and ERIC database. The next type is the full-text databases. It provides users actual content of resources. Examples are Springer, EBSCO, and Elsevier. The third type is hybrid databases. It is a mixture of full-text databases and bibliographic databases. An example of this is the ABSC or EBSCO Host Academic Search Premier. And the last type is the multimedia databases. It includes databases of images, audio, video, photographs, paintings, and website archives. This is the online catalogs. Online catalogs of product by publishers, vendors, online websites for purchasing e-resources like Amazon.com are the types of digital resources and kind of catalog. And that's all.
Digital resources on research. Availability of full-text databases and other digital resources in libraries help learners and researchers to search more information on a single platform. Also, they can efficiently search relevant data due to their features like cross-references and quick links in databases, and this could save their time. Researchers and learners can keep updated themselves with more current research work by accessing e-journals. Audio-video facilities making them understand in easy way. Libraries make one e-journal and e-book available to multiple users. This easy access helps libraries in providing CAS or STI services effectively by turning on notification of the new arrivals on website. Libraries can provide effective bibliographical resources, organize e-journal and e-books in library helps to retrieve information easily. E-books can be easily searched and stored.
At this juncture, it is our pleasure to present and give to you our certificate of recognition in participating in this event. In recognition of your outstanding work and innovative ideas, to these people, thank you. Join Ninia Masapi Peña, Christine Magbanwa, Iras Limutan, Justin May Owakan, Glyza Rose Dayanan, Mabel Gunilaw, Danica Villaflor,
Parawan, Cristel Pugoy, Rosalie Tilawan, Jaya Semblante, Cherry Saberon, Maria Micaela Riponte, and especially to our host of the day, Ira Jean Mangubat.
Thank you everyone for sharing this moment with us.
And for our closing remarks, let us hear again for Miss Ira Jean Magubat. A big round of applause, please.
Thank you, Ms. Danica and Ms. Ella. And thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. If you have any other questions, please leave a message in the comment section of this video. In behalf of the whole team and our presenters, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of your day.